Hey guys, doing a video review. I was going to try to install a eBay front mount intercooler on my car this week. Seemed like a pretty unbeatable price. It's the G Plus intercooler that you guys see on there. It says it fits the R32, 33, and 34 GTR. It's only like 190 bucks, no tax free shipping. The core is like the size of the HKS Type R unit, and it looks like it's pretty good quality. The welds and everything look nice. The mounting brackets, the end caps are one piece, solid. The only issue it has is it was designed improperly. It will not fit. So anybody who's thinking of buying this, don't buy it, because the problem is if you look at the stock one and you follow it around and you look at the rear bracket for the stock one gives you about a ½ inch of space between this and where like the radiator fan of the vehicle and everything sits. Well, the bracket on the aftermarket one is mounted from the same distance from the front back, when it should be mounted from the distance of this distance here. So this bracket needs to be mounted here, which will push the intercooler, the extra size of the intercooler cord to the front of the car. The way that they designed it from G Plus pushes the intercooler cord to the back of the vehicle, which there's no space in the back because you have a radiator fan and you have your other components of the car, so it's designed improperly. Same thing on this side. This bracket over here needs to be farther back here. So it would have been a good deal, but it doesn't fit, so I'll have to ship it back, which is pretty sad because I have the entire front of the car all stripped apart. But quality wise, I mean, it looks pretty nice. Would have been a nice upgrade. But that's why you buy JDM parts. They're engineered so when you rip your car apart, you don't end up with Chinese parts that don't fit. So now I gotta put this whole thing back together to stock. But it was worth a shot. So that's the front of it. So the quality looks pretty nice, if it would have worked. So I'm going to put the stock Calsonic on. Alright, so I'm working on removing the paint. So I'm using some paint stripper from the intercooler and this stuff here. And this is after one coat. So I sprayed it on, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then pressure washed it off lightly. And I figured since I got the whole car ripped apart, there's nothing that looks more aggressive than like the R33 and the R34. Their intercoolers are just bare aluminum, so when you see the intercooler in the bumper, it looks a hell of a lot more aggressive than the painted black one that you don't see. So I figured while I have it apart, I might as well get that taken care of. And I got the front bumper beam with the crash beam that's being sandblasted and powder coated, and I'm also working on the radiator, and I'm waiting for all new bushings for the top and bottom of the radiator, as well as the intercooler bushings, because they're all dried out. So I'll get this cleaned up in the meantime before I get it put back on. But this is what it looked like on the back side there. You can see the paint. So I'm going to put another coat on the stuff that you see up front and try to get that cleaned off a little bit better to the bare aluminum. Can't go too hard with the pressure washings. I don't want to bend the fins, but clean this one up until I order an HKS or Gretty or something different. So picking up the stuff from the powder coater. It's Premier powder coating and Sumner. So we're gonna grab our parts. While getting the front end back together, pulled all-nighter. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I've been working on the car since midnight, but put on the new brackets. Well, not new brackets, but the brackets here I got powder coated. So it took them to the same place I showed you the other suspension parts. So this is all brand new powder coat. Also the main bracket that goes like up underneath here. This is all powder coated as well. The gasket that's in the intercooler mount, I used the original gasket, but bushing, rubber bushing was in pretty good shape. I've got the front mount intercooler on. I've got all the hose clamps and everything tightened down all in here to make sure there's no boost leaks. Front mount intercooler is the stock Calsonic one. I used paint stripper and pressure washed it twice, so it's gonna stick out once I get the bumper on. I've got the coil radiator in. I just put that in. That's the 53 millimeter one, so it's pretty tight fit. Barely fit, as you can see down in here. Really not a lot of room in there, so it's just barely fitting around those lines. New temperature sensor down there as well. That's brand new installed. But yeah, and then we've got the G Plus radiator hoses. The other ones I had were real dried out and they were leaking. I've got the Omari temperature sensor spliced in there. So yeah, fixing a few other things. Got some rust repair. So there's a little bit of rust kind of in these areas, right up in here. So there was rust right here. So I've got that sanded down, and I sprayed the rust converter on it, also around on the inside, also where the main bumper brace mounts up on both those two bolt points. Got to get that primed and painted as well, but it's all sanded down. And spot right there. So gonna get this cleaned up. The goal is to at least get the bumper beam on as well as the front bumper, and the crash beam has also been sandblasted, and I can't really see it, but I'll do another video with it on the front of the vehicle, but it's been all powder coated as well. Here's a look at the front crash beam. So it's been sandblasted and powder coated. So it looks pretty damn good. And this is not an original N1 bumper, I don't think, because it looks like to me that that's been cut out by hand. But the edges cleaned up. They were a lot more harsh before it was sandblasted, but works good for the intercooler ducts. That's all that really matters. So get the bumper on next. Well, the front bumper's on. The job is done. Looks pretty nice. Intercooler looks a lot better. Cleaned back to its bare aluminum versus the black. Stands out a lot more. Makes the car look a lot more aggressive.